Hello everyone and welcome to the first tutorial on Gem Editor. In this part, you will learn the basics of the editor and also get familiar with the tools for creating maps. In Gem Editor, you have three main modes of operation: the game mode, which is opened by pressing F1, the map editing mode via F2, and the mission editing mode via F3. For simpler names, I suggest using the mode names F1, F2, and F3. First, let's create a blank map where we learn the basics of how to control the editor. Go to F2 mode to edit maps and click on the long button on the top right. Here you can select the settings for the map. You can set the initial texture for the entire land, specify the size of the map, and configure additional settings. First of all, let's save our map. Specify the path where you want to save the map. At first, it is not so important where we will save it. We will talk about file structure and missions in the future. Now I want to go through each category in the map editing panel and explain what things do, and what they are responsible for. The first category is called Entity, and this is where all the entities available in the game are stored. This includes landscape objects, units, effects, and etc. Everything that can appear on the map is displayed here in different folders. There is also a checkbox, Clip Camera Position, at the top. If you switch it off, we will enter the free camera mode, which is the easiest to work with in the editor. Let's see what entities exist in the game and go through each folder. The first folder is Fauna. This is where the animals are stored. By the way, using the up and down arrows on your keyboard is the easiest way to scroll entities. This is useful when there are a lot of entities in a folder. The next folder is called Human. All available human units are stored here, sorted by nation. The next folder is called Vehicle, and here you can find all available vehicles in the game. Next is the Construction folder, and here you will find everything for building settlements and military facilities, as well as various entourage for them. The next folder is called Flora, and here you will find vegetation such as bushes, trees, and other plants. Next is the FX folder, which stores the effects available in the game. The next folder is called Human Skin, and this is where all the skins for humans are located. They do not have any interactivity and are only used for visual viewing. The next folder is called Inventory. This folder contains all the items that can be picked up by units and stored in their inventory. For example, small weapons. The next folder is called Landscape, and this is where all the objects for creating landscapes are located. Next up are the Particles. These are particles that are used by some units. And the last folder is called Service. This is where entities that are used in the game code or when creating scenarios are stored. For example, a frontline entity for multiplayer or entities for creating an explosion. Let's go over the basics of managing entities in the editor. You can move an entity with the right mouse button. You can also rotate the entity by holding down the C button. You can resize the entity by holding down the S button. You can change the tilt of the entity by holding down the X button. You can change the height by holding down the A button. One of the most important entity parameters you will need at the beginning is TextMod. This is the texture that is assigned to the entity. For example, it could be the color of camouflage for vehicles, the color and time of season for flora like trees, or different textures for entourage objects. There's another useful feature in the entity browser. It's a search. You can type the name of an entity to find it. Press Enter to switch between found entities. Wildcard search is also supported. For example, we have an entity rail switch, but we only remember the switch in its name. You can write an asterisk to search for any value. For example, in case of rail switch, we write asterisk switch asterisk. The editor finds the matches we need. So, now you know how to control entities and we can get down to the basics of creating maps. For this, let's go to the Land tab. You can also press Key 2. In this tab, the editor offers full control over the landscape of the map. We will now go through each category in this tab and start with Heights. Heights is, as the name suggests, a ground altitude editor. It is used to edit the level of surfaces, such as creating hills, mountains, rivers, and other uneven terrain. In this panel, you can also edit the brush, in particular change the softness and sharpness, as well as change the speed of application of changes through the slider between slow and fast. You can change the size of the brush by holding plus or minus on the numpad. Hold down the left mouse button to raise the height, or the right mouse button to lower it. To level the surface, hold down the Shift key with the left mouse button and move over the surface to be leveled. Another key section is the textures. This is what the landscape will look like on your map. There are quite a lot of textures for landscape. These include different grasses, fields, roads, and etc. Texture is added as a material. Roughly speaking, a material is a combination of two layers of textures. One of the layers is the main layer, and the other is an additional layer. With the additional layer, you can seamlessly overlay the texture on top of the main layer. In this example, we took the default material and replaced its base layer with a grass texture. We still have the default metal texture and can paint metal textures over the grass completely seamlessly. Let's replace the extra layer with something prettier as well. You can add new layers and combine textures as you like. The main thing is to avoid seams between them. I'll show you how to avoid seams a little later with the stamp example. The map editor also offers the possibility to add your own color to the texture. This is useful if you want to make the color of the texture more expressive in some places. Next comes the polygon panel. A polygon is a unit of a triangle of the map surface. You can expand the map by adding new polygons or make it smaller by removing unnecessary ones. One of the key aspects of a beautiful map is the grass. Grass, like any other vegetation, will make any map beautiful and lifelike. The editor offers a wide variety of grass options for different seasons of the year and from different parts of the world. There is one more important tab in the map editor called Terrains. Here you can specify where on the map you want a particular terrain to be. A terrain is a special part of the surface with its own presetting. Such settings include logic, effects, and sounds. For example, right now there is a terrain ground across the map. This terrain has the setting of the most common ground. In this example, I've placed a mud texture and a puddle stamp, and we need to make the surface behave really like an area with such mud. To do this, we need to switch to Terrain Effect and give this part of the surface a corresponding effect. There is one more tab left in the land category. It is called Flag. These flags allow you to assign additional logic to the surface. For example, no pass to prohibit units from moving, or no dig to prohibit digging trenches. One of the core additions to Men of War 2 is water refactoring. It is now created in a similar way to polygons. First, you need to create a pool of water. You can imagine it as a group of water. To add water, switch the brush to polygon mode. You can also change the altitude of the water. Now you can see an example of the creation on the screen. At this point, we have learned all the things necessary to start working in the editor. However, something is missing. Let's add weather. Press the F6 key and select the desired weather.